Welcome back to Rogue Reviews. It is great to see you here again. Now, some games encourage cooperation. Some games encourage a fair exchange of ideas. People work together for the greater good. And then there are times when you just can't get along. So this evening, prepare to be destroyed, prepare to be conquered, prepare to be ruled and taken over every single turn, because you see, it's a small, small world. Yes, this is Small World by Philip Curtis. This is a really exciting, interesting game because it's basically encouraging you to completely trounce your neighbour again and again and again. In this game, you play a fantasy race with special interesting powers whose job it is to take over the world repeatedly, every single turn. So the idea is you might be in charge of the merchant ratmen or the bivouacking dwarves or even the flying sorcerers. Flying sorcerers are very, very bad. And each turn you basically go out and explore this kingdom and unfortunately cripple it and destroy it and basically take over all of its lands to win points, to earn fame and glory, and ultimately to win the game. Now there's a definite amount of basically give and take in this because there's lots of different strategies that help you take over in different ways, but you know that all the other players will be playing interesting similar ways, and then you kind of constantly fight every single turn to hold on to what's yours, and yet also be prepared to accept that you'll probably lose what's yours but take more of things next turn. It's an interesting game. There's lots of talk, there's lots of interaction, there's kind of like very little bits of plea bargaining, little bits of negotiation alliances. Overall, this is a very action-filled game. So if you like the idea of accomplishing something every single turn, this could be a good game for you. If you love the idea of interesting fantasy races with all sorts of interesting special powers, this game could be for you. So, depending on which board you play, we're going to have a look at the 4-player game today. It's going to be an interesting mix of different societies, different races, different powers, strategy, territory, special abilities, and all sorts. So let's take a look at the table view. So, is it a small board after all? Well, let's find out. As you can see, the board is covered in different types of territories. For example, you have swamps, you have mountains, you have fields, you have grasslands. You also have certain areas of water, for example, the lake and the sea. So, depending on who you are and what you're playing, this has different effects and different victory conditions, that kind of thing. So how does the game begin? Well, first, you need to choose a race. In Small World, there are many, many different races. So you could be, for example, humans, dwarves, Amazons, elves, ghouls, ratmen, you get the idea. And every single race comes with a randomly generated special power. So, for example, you could be the flying ratmen, or you could be the stout wizards, or you could be the pillaging tritons. This combination of different characters means the games have almost, well, not infinite replayability, but enormous replayability. And there'll be different strategies depending upon who you come. For example, if you play merchant trolls, that will be a very, very different game from if you play underworld trolls or even dragon master trolls. So even playing the same race or the same power, games will not necessarily be the same. Now, you line out a set of these people randomly generated, and then you start from the top. If the first player wishes to be, for example, the Underworld Ratmen, then they just take them and all is well. However, if they had their eye on the Berserk Amazons, what they would need to do would basically to pay some of their money to the people above them, almost like apologising. Sorry, I don't want to be you, Mr. Underworld Ratmen. I'd rather be the Berserk Amazons. So then you would take the Berserk Amazons, and the amount that you would need would basically be the combination of these two figures. So, for example, you'd need 6 Amazons plus 4 Berserk people, and Amazons have a special rule where they have an extra 4 people there. So you would take that many Amazons. These then would obviously move up, and you generate another race at the bottom. You'd only have 5 or 6 at a time. So with your people here, what you can do, therefore, is you're trying to try and conquer the world. The restrictions are you have to start on the outside edge unless a certain thing says otherwise. So, for example, the Amazons would like to start here in the forest. Now, what you will see is there are a certain number of these tokens, these lost tribes, out on the small little areas marked with a square. This represents an extra little bit of difficulty. As do the mountains here. If certain other people have things like fortifications, that also makes it a little bit more difficult. Also, if there are things like bivouacs, or of course, alternatively, other people. So, for example, if there were some skeletons on this area, if there were 2 skeletons, it will be harder to take over as if there were 1 skeleton. The simple rule is to take over any territory costs 2 plus 1 for every piece of cardboard. So say, for example, this lost tribe here will cost 2 of my Amazons, plus an extra 1 to get rid of lost tribes, which would be 3. I can then save this extra points later, and then I've now got that territory. From here, I can then spread out to conquer other territories as well. So I could basically go in this direction, where there actually are some more tribes. I could basically go 3 more there. Oh no, there's an elf there, so I need to basically take 3 more and go there. Getting rid of the elf goes back to the character because those characters don't get destroyed. 2 more on here because basically this says underguarded. Do I have enough left for the mountain? I've got 3 left, which will take care of the mountain. Now, Amazons have a special power where basically you get extra people, but you have to return some at the end. So I obviously have to put some of these back on top of the Amazons card, but that's just unique to them. I've then got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different territories owned. So I would then score 5 points for the round. Fantastic. Okay. Everyone else has their turn, smashing, killing, destroying, taking over. When it's back to me again, I want to hang on to the territories I've got, but I want more territories. So I need to leave at least 1 person in place to defend that territory, and then I can see what else I've got to work with. So let's imagine I just leave that person there and take off all the spares. I then have some more forces available for new conquering. Fantastic. Okay, and I continue to spread out and travel across the board. Of course, the difficulty is that everybody else will be doing the exact same thing. So things get rather competitive. The other thing I should mention is that if you don't have enough, for example, let's say I only had 2 left and I want to take over that mountain. Well, I can always try and call for reinforcements. I would need 3 to take over the mountain because it's 1, 2 plus next piece of cardboard. In which case I roll the reinforcements die. Now this is basically a D3, well, a D4 with either 0, 1, 2 or 3 on. And of course it's very, very unlikely to get a 3. These represent the extra forces that I might be able to scrounge up and find in order to try and make this attack successful. So I need to roll at least a 1. Let's see how I do. No, oh dear, that wouldn't work. So this attack fails, so I need to basically go and redeploy these somewhere else, and I don't get to take this over. If, however, I'd rolled, for example, a 2, I would now have enough. Fantastic, and this is mine. Okay, so the reinforcement dice adds kind of like an extra little bit strategic random element to it. So most of the things you need to take over, you should try and do those first, prioritizing the highest, most desirable places you need, and then the last one can be a bit of a gamble, really. All right, so after a few turns, the board is starting to fill up with different people. Now, this will be a very, very, very competitive game, and it kind of fits in a unique position amongst all the different games here, because there is certainly a vast amount of player versus player element to it. However, you can't get away from that. It's not kind of particularly vindictive player versus player movement. It is actually just the inbuilt flow of the game. Things will basically be taken and lost every single turn. Your forces will be depleted. You'll basically maybe just track down to a couple of people left. Now, that's not enough to win the game, is it? So what do you do if you're running out of people and still want to be more competitive? Well, you do what's called putting your race into decline. If you do that, you remove all but just 1 of your people from every single tile, and then you flip them over to the alternative, more greyed out side. This little pillar basically means in decline. Okay, so these will kind of sit on the board, and you can't really do anything with them. They're just kind of relics, but they will score you extra points for as long as they're there. Then the next turn, what you basically get to do is choose a new race. So, for example, next turn you might want to be the Forest Sorcerers. I don't want to be you, I don't want to be you. I'll take my Forest Sorcerers and off I go. You'll then basically sort of conquer territories with your new race. Obviously, try not to take over your old race at the same time, because that would be silly. And then basically you'll have effectively 2 races out at the same time. Your in decline ones would just sit there and try and get you a few points for as long as they last. And of course, your brand new lovely race. And that's what everybody else is doing at the same time. So it's a massive flow back and forth of territory grabbing, territory loss. But because this is kind of an inbuilt part of the game, you just kind of get on with it. You don't have to stop like, oh, you took my person. Well, yes, because you took my person. And absolutely next, you're going to take my person. So there's not hopefully too much complaining about that. Now, there are 9 turns in the 4-player game. which is normally a chance to get out probably 2, maybe 3 different races over the course of a game. Depending on how well this is working for you, you might be able to make one race last 4 or 5 turns. It's more likely, however, that after basically say about 3 turns, that race is looking a bit tired and a bit worn out, so you'll probably go for a second and you'll probably go for a third. Okay? Now let's think about some of the other special powers. Forest, what does that mean? Well, this means for every forest you control at the end of your turn, oh look, you gain an extra gold. Fantastic. So you gain an extra point. Fantastic. If you are fortified, for example, what does it mean? It means that every single turn you get to put out a little one of these castles on one of your territories, which makes it more valuable to you, so you get extra points. If you are heroic, for example, you get 2 special tokens, which are heroes. They can basically go in and take over any territory. So say, for example, if there were like 5 or 6 skeletons, oh well, tough. These cannot be taken over by anybody else. My territory is here. You cannot take it. You cannot take it off me because I have a hero there. Okay. There's also the Dragon Masters. Dragon Masters are lovely and fantastic because basically what they can do is they can just have one person walk along with the dragon. Oh look, you've got incredibly difficult territory, but I've taken it because I've got a dragon, and who's going to argue with a dragon? And there are tons of different effects. For example, if you play the skeletons, for every 2 people you defeat, you get to turn one of them into a new skeleton. Fantastic. If you are the sorcerers, you can basically kind of persuade each turn somebody else next to you, one of their armies, will become a sorcerer. So these are kind of self-generating extra rounds. Dwarves, for example, gain extra points for every mine they control, and they call it a mine. So there's loads of different effects. And obviously playing the different types of effects over the course of the game will affect the strategies that you use and will affect how you play the game. And of course, everybody else is doing the same thing at the same time, so they are also getting different options in terms of how they play, whether it's about land grab and land territory, or in terms of conquering, for example, or in terms of positioning. There's a few different interesting ones here. For example, Spirit means you can have 2 different races in decline, which effectively means you've got 3 races out of the same board. Diplomat is kind of like an enforced peace, which means you nominate 1 person each turn who can't attack you. Very useful. And there is so much more. So the basic premise of conquer and take over and control is nice and easy to get on. The premise of that they'll be back and forth every single turn, yeah, you can need to get on board with that. But the sheer levels of replayability means the game will be around for a very, very, very long time. And there are different boards. For example, there is a 2-player board, there is a 4-player board, there is a 5-player board, there is a 3-player board. So no matter who you're playing with, the actual terrain itself will be slightly different and give you more options there. So Small World, a wealth of gaming, a ton of replayability, lots of different tactics. Could it be for you? Let's have a think in the final thoughts. Okay then, Small World. Could this be a game for you? Well, having played lots and lots of these games, having played with lots of different people, I would say this game has a massively wide appeal. It definitely fits into the fantasy genre very, very well. So any fans of classic fantasy tropes will have a really good time with this. The main thing about it, it's a very scrappy game. So there's lots of sort of back and forth infighting in kind of like the best possible spirit. You know that it's going to be a part of this game every single turn, so you can't get offended, for example, if somebody takes over your massive stronghold full of trolls. Yeah, that's going to happen, okay? So you need to basically be able to cope with that and have an idea that, yes, it's going to be give and take. Sometimes you're going to lose stuff, sometimes you're going to gain stuff, but that is essentially what the game is all about. So if you kind of like that, if you're kind of like a tenacious mindset, this game could be really, really exciting for you. If you love delving into a fantasy world, adapting different strategies every single time you play, this is going to be a game that you enjoy lots and lots. And you'll obviously come back to it different times to see, well, okay, I've played with, for example, the Swamp Sorcerers, but how do they compare to, for example, the Merchant Sorcerers? How do the, the Bivouacking Ratmen compare to the Berserk Ratmen, or even the Dragon Master Ratmen? So even within the same game, there's loads of different experiences, and the different races and the different powers really do affect the strategy a lot. It's a completely different game, whether you're playing, for example, merchants who basically start off with a small amount of territory, but everything they take over is doubled, compared to, for example, Berserk, where you want to be attacking other people every single turn. It's a really different experience. So the idea is that this game has a lot to offer. As I said earlier, the idea that if you walked past this game, it would be loud, it would be exciting, it would be laughing and joking and gritting of teeth and growling a little bit, but all in a good humour. People who play this game are really into the game. You're not going to have people sitting back and sort of like hiding in the shadows for a while. They're going to be right in your face all the time. They're going to be talking and laughing and chatting and promising and threatening and all sorts. If you take over my people this turn, I'm going to crush your people over there next turn. Yeah, okay. So if you like a loud and boisterous and exciting game, full of action, full of basically adrenaline, this can be for you. You'll have fun with this game. In terms of the adaptability, as I said before, there's a 2-player version, there's a 3-player version, there's a 4-player version, there's a 5-player version. There are also lots of different expansions. For example, there's Small World Underworld, there's various add-ons that you can basically get on in terms of adding extra little characters here or there, or extra different races, different abilities. So even with the massive amount of replayability, there is a huge slew of more replayability to add on to it as well. So this basically means that you will come back to Small World again and again and again. If you have the right mindset, this game will be really rewarding to have on your shelf and to play with different groups of people, because you get to re-explore this game every single time you try it. For that reason alone, it's worth lots of credit. And I think quite a few people will have already heard of Small World, will have probably played Small World before, but maybe they've heard of it but haven't actually sort of found out more about it. So hopefully this will give you a little bit more of an insight into this. Will you enjoy this? Probably, depending upon kind of like how you play games. But if you like this kind of game, you will really like Small World as an example of it. Okay, so as ever, we leave you to make it your own opinion there, but obviously it's got lots of recommendations from us. We play it quite a lot and we have lots of fun playing it. Oh, an interesting thing to mention is that we found that certain little combinations are kind of super powered, which we kind of have like house rules on banning. For example, as I mentioned before, flying sorcerers, no. Berserk Amazons, no. Some races will just take over the world far too easily. But again, that's for you to find out. That's for you to explore. And Small World is a fantastic game in that regard, in that you really do make it your own. You might have favoured races, you might have favoured powers, you might have favoured certain territories or certain strategies. You will discover that for yourselves. And the more you play it, the more you kind of build that image of a small, small world. So, as ever, if you want to get in contact with us, please come and find us at rogueartistcreations.com. You can find us on Facebook at Rogue Artist Creations. Please like, please follow us. We'd love the support. Please give us lots of comments. You can reach us on Twitter at RogueACreations, or me at GMFirst at rogueartistcreations.com. Thank you for coming back to us. I hope you're enjoying some of these games in Season 2. And we've got a lot more to offer you. Some you know quite well, some ones that you might never have seen before. But that's the joy, isn't it? We're always trying to discover new things. So as ever, thanks for coming in, and we will see you soon.